It is map number 5, as we do have the blue allies in the bottom left side from Team NACL. He is 3-1 in this best of 7 series. It's c9q9md.
And in the top right side as the purple allies, he's currently down and must win this match. He is from Team G, he is Zokker.
Indeed. And we do have that single Rax going to be coming out for Zokker. It is a dual Rax going to be for c9q9md.
Yeah, man, I mean, both is fine. On Fire Island, you can really do whatever, because the travel distance is long enough to go for whatever build you want. But really, C9 claiming the first blood and throws out a little LOL for the wins. But we'll see, you know. Zokker is a really powerful player. He can definitely come back.
Oh! Okay, it looked like for a second there that C9 got the kill, but no, Zokker got the kill.
Yep,
but
and
C9
meanwhile,
will get the full
C9
scout.
claimed another one.
On the right side?
Yeah, they were attacking at both times, so, I mean, at the same time. And C9 managed to claim one.
Yeah, both of these players, they've got their oil derricks already secured, and we're starting to see a little bit of their build. And of course, C9, he's camping his dog out at the back, and he's like, hey, you want to go for a naval yard? I'm going to spot that immediately. Pretty much whatever you do, I am going to see happen immediately. The dogs do come out from Zokker, and he is going to be able to clean up this dog for C9. As you can see, Zokker packaged 2 dogs together just to make sure that he's able to clean up the dogs from C9. What's your thoughts?
I'm thinking Zokker should go War Factory, and I think he's... Oh, well, there it is. Because right now he sees that there's no defending against these Peacekeepers and this infantry out of C9, so he must build IFVs right now in order to counter this. And wow, that bark. Wow. That was pretty intense.
It's not the best bark ever, but it's certainly a nice start to this fight.
Yeah, it is indeed. And the 10 coming out here, I'm pretty interested to see if that IFV is going to get there in time and actually snipe that engineer. Oh, is it? No, it's going to be too late, I think.
Oh, no, he does deploy it into a medical tent.
Oh,
now,
wow,
the Peacekeeper does jump in. And goodbye, Peacekeepers. Also, most likely, goodbye, Engineers. This IFV is going to be shredding through some of these units. He's going for the Engineer. There we go.
And that's splash damage. Once the IFV gets up close and personal, I mean, there's nothing you can do with Peacekeepers. This IFV just seems to be able to take an infinite amount of shots out of Peacekeepers. And I think C9 is kind of confused right now, you know, like, what am I supposed to do? If these IFVs is going to keep on pumping out, he can harass soon. I mean, we see Zokker is already up to 5 IFVs. This is going to be really hard for C9 to stop.
Do you think he goes tier 2 airfield after this and gets out a cryocopter before expand?
He's definitely going airfield, but I'm not quite sure if he's going to decide to go War Factory before the airfield, but because just given the fact that he has 5 IFVs, he cannot go airfield immediately, because then he would, of course, just lose his Vindicators, basically, so he must defend with infantry and turrets right here. But he has nothing queued.
If Zokker gets a couple of cryocopters, he could mix them in. It would be quite expensive to do, but if he manages to get those guys out, which he is actually tier 2 on the airfield, so
yeah, he must go cryocopters.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he must go cryocopters. If you start with IFVs, you cannot just depend on them. You need cryocopters ASAP after you build those IFVs, so that's a very fairly standard build order. I was looking for C9's perspective, because C9 he knows that this is going to happen right now, and it's going to be really hard to pull off a defense with just sheer infantry. So I think C9 was kind of like taking his time, making some units that he knows he can defend himself with long enough.
Ooh.
Wow,
so
don't
Zokker, I mean, he hasn't quite waited for the IFVs to show up. Now, there is a 3rd Javelin Trooper here and a couple more coming in from kind of the north side. But for now, Zokker is going to be able to escape. Good on him. He got in, he did a little bit of damage, maybe took a little bit more damage than he should have, but for now, he's going to be all right.
Yeah, I mean, he still managed to snipe a few Javelins, and of course, it's a little bit of a deal, because it's just, you know, like, it's 600 credit, but this shrinked IFV is really gonna be annoying, because there's no catching it, you know. C9 cannot catch this IFV, it's too fast. When it's shrinked, it's the fastest unit in the game.
And
I mean,
you
next
can't
to a
even...
shrink Tenko.
You have to kill it with Peacekeepers, because Javelin Troopers, as long as it's moving, they just don't do any damage. One of these cryocopters could be going down, And this is something that I just uploaded a VOD of this happening with one of the Chinese players. So we're seeing it happen again.
Oh, he seriously, he crossed it with a shrink. Oh my god. When he moved the IFV, he got shrinked by the collector because it was still moving by moving in. So, oh my god. That was absolutely awesome for C9. I don't even think C9 he actually realized that it survived. Oh, he did. He did.
Like, what in the world? I thought that the prospector was going to be the thing that exploded. But hold the thought, as we do have in the middle of the map here, a lot of those IFVs, again, they're getting more bang for their buck, almost killing the airfield there. A nice micro here by Zokker.
This could be a killing blow unless Zokker controls well, because C9 got his airfield. I mean, he's got an Apollo. So right now, Zokker does not have an airfield. He's been forced to rebuild his racks, and there's no airfield. That means no Apollos out for Zokker whatsoever. So if C9 can catch him out of position with his own Apollos, then those cryocopters will go down for free. And the Apollo go down. Oh, as we were talking about it. Wow.
Yeah, you made a very good point there, but it is now kind of null and void. But the other thing is that currently there's no repair drones on the map for Zokker, which means his cryocopter, while it is, still very powerful and it's currently very safe, if he tries to go into battle with it, it could get sniped down very quickly.
And I seen the shrinkage here for Zokker of his MCV, but he knows you gotta be careful. I mean, his MCV shrink will take so much damage from tier 1 infantry, but I'm not really sure what his plan is going this direction instead of through the middle. But I guess that he figures out that C9 has placed a defensive turret in the middle, so he doesn't want to engage him over the turret, so he want to go here. But C9 picks up on that and already places a turret up of his own. So I don't think Zokker can engage here efficiently.
It's gonna be close, as we do have a really nice cryoblast going to be firing off. It is one of those ones that you can avoid pretty easily with that X key, but it almost was a very, very powerful cryoblast firing off there. Zokker, as you can see, pulling all of his units to the left side there. The IFVs, cryocopters, peacekeepers, the MCV as well.
Yeah, and now, of course, C9, he knows where the turret's just gonna come, so he wisely did not build a third ref. I don't know if you actually noticed it, but he didn't build a third ref because he knows Zokker can place a turret here if he pushes in, but he can't place a turret there if there is nothing to kill. So Zokker has basically got to go all in here with this MCV.
Yeah, and this is
anybody's game right now.
3-1 for Zokker. So if he loses this game, his IFVs currently aren't really being utilized. They might be able to help tear through some of these infantry forces, but right now the concave from Zokker is so sick, it's just tearing through everything of C9, and he is wrecking the forces of C9 with the help of those cryocopters, but they are getting eliminated.
Oh wow, and all like C9's units just went down, but however, 3 cryocopters, that was like the primary weapon of Zokker. He lost it all. Now he's totally relying on peacekeepers. Zokker gotta rebuild something. I mean, he's gotta either throw down a naval yard, go for some assault destroyers since he's tier 2, or he could go for some more turrets and go for another airfield. But he cannot really rely on these peacekeepers anymore. He's throwing down dual racks, but I don't think that he can make a lot happen right now. Oh wow, wait a moment. C9 does not have a single production facility. I was wrong. Zokker picked it up right. This is definitely really going to be hard for C9 to counter, really.
Yeah, with the huge mass of units and the MCV on the move for C9, because if C9 had production facilities, if his MCV wasn't on the move, he might be able to hold off this huge just blob of units. But as it stands, he's so far behind in the turret race. He's now behind in the economy race. He's racing off with a couple of IFVs to the top right side of the map. I think he's going to try to force a base race, but Zokker, I mean, if he ever gets an engagement with the army, it's going to be so going in favor. Hold that thought as another cryoblast does fire off. It's not super good, though.
Well, I'm pretty curious to see if C9, he can really snipe these 2 refineries out of Zokker. Zokker is going to have no cash. But as wow, Zokker forced to sell off his airfield that he just built, so his eco gotta be low. But C9 GG's out.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. I mean, what can you do in that situation? Wow. Well played by Zokker.
That cryocopter is so good, and he brings it out right at the end. As you mentioned, he was forced to sell off the airfield, but he got that cryocopter out. That gave him such an advantage over C9, and C9 going for the counterattack wasn't able to quite make it happen fast enough. And again, we see kind of the tipping of the scales where we've got this sort of build-up, then the scales tip, and then boom, it is just almost over so quickly for these players. And there's some really key moments where they just have to micro their hearts out. Game number 6. It takes us to Battle Base Beta and our purple allies on the bottom left side. He's trying to even things up. It's 2-3 in his opponent's favor, but this is TNG Zokker. 13.
And in the top right side, he is the Salty from NACL c9q9md as the blue allies. What do we have? Dual racks already for both players. So yeah, it's gonna be a basic mirror of Wolf and C9, I guess. Like all in for the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what you expect to see. Again, it's like the sort of surprise level that I'm at right now is 0. I've got 0 surprise that this is how these players opened up.
Nah, and that's the thing, you know, you just want to pump out those peacekeepers and wait to some of the players is going to give up eventually and say, all right, I'll let you have it, but for now, let's just all go inside that garrison and lose some units. That's basically what it's going to be, but it seems like Zokker here deciding to pull back and make a concave. He might not want to invest as much in infantry as C9 does, because as long as you have a concave on the high ground, he's pretty safe, as long as he stays out of range, of course.
I'm trying to find, like, the best camera angle where I can just park it and then leave it for, like, the first 25 minutes of the game, but C9, he's grabbing both of those structures, so Zokker, he most definitely should have something sneaky planned if he's giving the middle up that early. Maybe he thinks, like, yeah, I don't know exactly what his plan is, but he has to have something.
He's trying to bait Zokker's peacekeepers in, because if he has his peacekeepers in aggressive stance, they will chase you a little bit. So if you go inside the garrison and then you send one peacekeeper in, then once the peacekeeper starts to chase your peacekeeper, you jump inside the garrisons and shoot them. That's what was C9's plan here, but I think maybe Zokker had him in hold ground stance, and that means they won't move. They'll just stand there and shoot whatever gets in range. And this micro that we were talking about, look at that micro out of Zokker. That is absolutely awesome, shooting out those peacekeepers before they can get inside the garrison. That is just awesome.
Indeed, and C9, I don't know if it was a distraction from Zokker, but C9 was actually chasing a small contingency of peacekeepers kind of on the north-left side. And I don't know, again, if it was like an intentional distraction by Zokker so he could sneak those peacekeepers around the front of that building, or what. But at any rate, it worked great. Zokker is now in the main base of C9, which means he could get sandwiched really badly here and just lose all these peacekeepers, but he grabs the garrison.
Yeah, and that's important to get inside there, because he does not want to just throw them away. He wants at least something out of it. But we already see Zokker's MCV is in the range of the mid, so he can basically shoot down those garrisons.
Ooh, and he's also
C9 losing.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, all those peacekeepers down for nothing. I don't think there was a single loss. It was just a bad patrol path.
Yeah, it was just one of those move commands where you kind of forget about your peacekeepers and then suddenly you lose like $1,000 worth of peacekeepers.
Yeah, and C9 desperately trying to clean off Zokker's units inside his base so he doesn't have that infinite free scouting, but I mean, right now, I would argue that Zokker claimed a few more peacekeepers off C9 than the other way around, and really C9, he's got to defend this high ground, because this is his third ref, which is almost like completing now, and he cannot defend himself with just one peacekeeper. He's forced to pack up. Wow, this is pretty huge, because Zokker actually already on 3 ref.
Yeah, exactly. With that 3 ref advantage and the fact that he doesn't have to pack his MCV up, he's already got his MCV kind of deployed halfway in between the middle of the map. And he's already got the armor facility down, which means he can start working on that tier 2. He can move up to Athena cannons eventually if he wants. And he's just got pretty much constant pressure on the expansion, or the land expansion, of C9.
Yeah, exactly, and C9 right now is totally relying on infantry, and he cannot keep this up, you know, because right now, when Zokker got a few IFVs out, those peacekeepers is I mean, not worthless, but basically gonna be worthless. Because IFVs are so powerful with a Peacekeeper inside them, as long as you actually do put a Peacekeeper inside them.
Yeah, as long as you actually, you know, make sure that you don't get them caught out of position. But yeah, with that PK inside, so powerful. Kriegasm really is what it's going to be like. For those of you who are familiar with the Twitch emotes. But as you can see, a very powerful allied unit composition coming out here from TNG Zokker, and he's just going to be trashing these Peacekeepers.
And wow, C9, he knows that those IFVs are just gonna go down, and then he's gonna go to his refineries, and there's nothing he can do about it. So he's trying to retreat here. I think he wants a multi-gunner up there, so he can't get harassed. But at the same time, I mean, he's forced to pack up his MCV and move so much. Meanwhile, Zokker can safely camp on 3 ref and produce Guardian tanks already. Wow.
Yep, he's up to that tier 2. He's been able to do exactly what he wants. He's been dictating the pace of this game, and we're certainly seeing a very, very solid Zokker, not relying on those turret pushes, although he does give a Guardian tank away for free. The second Guardian tank is getting trapped a little bit behind these IFVs, but the IFVs are cleaning up the Javelin troopers, no problemo. So, I don't feel too bad about that Guardian tank kind of hiding behind them.
Yeah, I think he's just using the Guardian tank to just tank the damage output of those Javelins, so the IFVs can quickly just finish them off. But now when he camps the racks, I mean, what can C9 possibly do? He's out of Javelin troopers almost, and he's got no no way of building units anymore. He's basically relying on his MCV to crush the entire army of Zokker, and I'm not really sure if that's going to happen ever.
So, for C9 to really take a cost-effective engagement to get himself back in this game, he almost needs Zokker to just line up all of his units and just let him crush like $5,000 worth of units.
And what? Is C9 gonna fend this off with 3 Javelin troopers?
I don't know how he did that.
Oh my god. I think there's a few Peacekeepers inside like garrisons, and along with those 3 Javelins, somehow, some way, C9 stays alive. Wow. Yeah.
Still extremely...
I thought it was GG. I was just waiting for him to give up. I didn't see him coming back from that ever. But somehow, some way, he is alive, and he's gonna go for dual racks.
Yeah. Again, he held it off, which is a very important point that you do make there. And I kind of thought it was going to be GG as well. But what does the follow-up for these two players look like? We've got 3 refinery, tier 2 Zokker. He's already established his production facilities. On top of now dual racks, tier 1, 2 refinery, C9. Just so much of a better position.
The thing is, per refinery you can infinite spam on 1 rack. So that means 2 racks can be spammed on 2 refineries for C9, but that's all he can do to win the game. He needs that engineer inside his construction yard as he did, so you have that on full HP, and then push with his MCV. To guard his infantry, and that's the only way for him to win the game, and he knows this, and he's gonna do it. And wow,
yes.
So Peacekeeper packs comes out as a response here, but C9, he's not gonna give up. He knows it's now if he's gonna win, so he'll do anything he can to make his units come through. But that is obviously hard.
I love that when players just load up the Peacekeepers inside of the Riptides and then use them just basically as sort of a surprise. Just like, hey, guess what? It's like 5 Peacekeepers right on top of your army. Ha ha ha. Now I'm gonna shoot you.
Well, the idea is that once he is inside the Reptides, C9's PKs will focus fire the Reptide because that's the first target they get near.
Yeah.
And then when he bails out, all his Peacekeepers is not getting focused. And wow.
He will push it back though.
Oh, wow, C9, how are you even still in this game? I mean, wow, come on, man.
And he gets a crush. All right, so Zokker's now on 4 refineries, and his MCV is moving. We could be seeing a very, very weird base trade scenario. Zokker is still undoubtedly in the lead, but C9 is so crazy. Is he actually going to be able to make something happen? I mean, he shouldn't. He shouldn't.
No, all his units just got murdered by those heroic Peacekeepers. So C9 basically down to the construction yard only, and I don't see C9 he was trying, but at least he made a last stance.
Yeah, for a second there, it looked like he was going to hold it off, but 5 Riptides, a 6th, and a Guardian tank following up after that. Just a hard pill to swallow, and there we go. The game over comes up. Zokker takes it to a 3-3.
Wow, could it get more exciting than a 3v3? I mean, 3-3 scenario. That couldn't be more exciting at all. Wow.
Not indeed. And again, we take a look at that unit kill to death ratio. Zokker way ahead. Now, part of that did come down to Riptides and PK IFVs, but in a lot of the infantry wars, the higher unit kill to death ratio, the more efficient you can be, really does add up. All right, welcome to Temple Prime. We do have in our 7th map as the blue allies on the left side. From Team NACL, the saltiest Red Alert 3 player to ever touch a mouse and a keyboard. It's c9q9md.
And in the right side, from Team TNG as the yellow allies, we do have Zokker. And this is an ace match, so wow, this absolutely 3-3, so I'm excited.
I think I'll be surprised if the game goes past 10 minutes. Because these two players, very volatile, and then on top of that, it's game number 7, and I think they're both kind of waiting for that victory. They both want to edge it out. Nice first blood there by C9. Doesn't really mean a whole lot, though. He will get the scout, as both players will. But I think both players are going to be looking to end it pretty early, and hopefully in a very convincing fashion. So I don't know that we'll be seeing a very long game, but it should be intense.
Well, I'm not sure yet if we're going to see a sheer all-in, but the key thing is already, I mean, we see that both players are pumping out peacekeepers in each direction, and that means that's going to be the angle they're going to attack from. But of course, C9, he knows that, well, all Zokker's infantry is up there, so I got to pull mine back and defend, because if they manage to get inside his base, he'll lose it all. But regardless, you know, Zokker is thinking the same. But he's thinking, well, I can go aggressive, I can get the middle, I can get the important garrisons. So pretty wise play already by Zokker. I mean, trying to be more aggressive with the units can sometimes help, because that kind of narrows C9's sight of the map.
Indeed, C9 did manage to get a kill on a peacekeeper with his dog, but he drops down the armor facility, and that's really what I was buying time for, is to see what these players are going for. It's armor facility for both, and as you mentioned again, Zokker, he's kind of creating a channel along the top side of the map. That's where his oil derrick is. That's the direction that his armor facility is pointing, and then of course from there he may very well be taking the top of the map.
Yeah, and the most important part is he's kind of forcing C9 to keep his units inside his base, while C9 is not doing the same. He's not, Zokker himself doesn't really have a lot in his own base. And that is, of course, because he can be up here and annoy C9. And if C9 decides to attack, he can immediately counter-attack. So C9 can only send a few units to attack with, and that's what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, so one thing that C9 has to do is, if he is going to be kind of playing defensively, he has to make sure that he doesn't take bad engagements, because if he's sectioning off part of his army to go and do attacks, then he wants to make sure that he's got as much damage output as possible back home to defend, so that he doesn't lose while he's out harassing. Now, right now, it is going to be 2 IFVs versus, well, currently it's 2 IFVs versus an IFV and a Riptide, but with the nice wall rebuilding from Zokker, he may be forcing this little harassment to run away.
Yeah, he does indeed, because a Riptide and an IFV is more powerful than an IFV, and C9 is going to lose that IFV without accomplishing anything. Yeah. And that is a pretty big loss. I mean, that's one of the more expensive units, and I think we're gonna see an airfield out of Zokker now with some cryocopters, maybe? No, he's gonna rebuild his barracks for some reason. I don't know why, because he got IFVs, and C9,
Oh, actually, C9 might get a couple of free kills here, depending on what comes out. It is going to be a Javelin Trooper. C9 will spot that. Oh. I was going to ask maybe if it's a Javelin Trooper Riptide combination, and it may be that. Now, C9, he's went tier 2 with the Guardian tank. Oh, actually, okay, for a second I thought one of those Javelin Troopers died. Now, it does get eliminated. C9 putting on the pressure. He's got the Guardian tank inside of the base of Zokker. Zokker going to be packing up pretty much everything on the front lines and heading back to his base, but this is going great for C9 thus far.
Yeah, wow, C9 is really doing the right thing, because C9, he picked up on the fact, well, there's a rebuild barracks, so I know he's probably going to go for a Javelin pack since he have a Reptile. And he's thinking, well, now I can harass if I build Guardian tanks, because Guardian tanks with IFV combo is really good. But Zokker, he just somehow, some way fence it off with nothing.
Yeah, he loses, I think, a couple of Javelin Troopers, again, maybe an IFV or two, but is the follow-up push from C9 going to be held off as easily? As you can see, C9 has, let's count them, I think 5 Guardian tanks currently out on the map, maybe a 6th one on the way. Yes, 6th on the way. He is going pretty hard into the aggression, and they're starting to get split up, which could be bad for C9, but 3 of them in a pack is pretty powerful.
Well, Zokker knows he can't defend without Vindicators, because those Guardian tanks is just going to absolutely murder all of his IFVs. So the Javelin Troop is going to try and hit the front line, but the... Oh, no! He lets the cross just go off, and that's not a good thing for Zokker here. He's going to lose a lot of units.
Yeah, but the multi-gunner turret is certainly helping out, and the Peacekeeper control here from Zokker was good enough, but now the Peacekeepers from C9 have showed up, which means this Vindicator has more things to focus on than just the Guardian tanks. He does go for a couple of the Peacekeepers. He's trying to deny the building grabs by C9, and C9, he's kind of just YOLOing in here. He's losing a lot of Peacekeepers to the IFVs, and C9 wasn't really doing any damage, but now he catches out a couple of IFVs to kind of even the score, but he has to stay wary of the Vindicators and that multi-gunner turret.
Yeah, it's staying so close right now, I have no idea who's actually ahead, because it seems like every time one is losing a unit, the other is losing a unit. But the thing I would argue that Zokker is slightly ahead is the fact that he has Vindicators, because that kind of spells the death of those Guardian tanks. But and at least forcing C9 to make some IFVs. But at the same time, you know, Zokker is in a really defensive position. C9 is not, so he got time now if he wants to expand or start changing tactics.
Yeah, we do have some nice Vindicator cleanup crews. Oh, no, this is very bad for Zokker. If he loses this airfield, it could be spelling defeat. His Vindicators are not in a very good position as far as health goes, but the airfield does not get frozen. Unfortunately, Zokker did not preemptively sell that off.
And I'm not sure what Zokker is going to be doing here to defend, because if he loses his Vindicators, that would spell disaster right now. But what Zokker does is the exact right thing. You see right now, as I mentioned before, he got all those garrisons captured in the top where he had full of Peacekeepers. Now he can engage because C9 has no defenses now. And wow, one single Guardian tank is going to come out and probably fend this attack off.
Unless C9 just is not paying attention. Unfortunately, he is a little bit distracted. Nice split there from Zokker. Both of these players controlling very well on both sides of the map.
Yeah, that's the thing. You really got to keep your multitasking up to date, and C9 cannot lose all these without at least getting the Guardian tank. Okay, he did, so that was good. Wow.
Yeah, that was a little bit messy from C9. This defense from Zokker on the right side of the map, though, I think it's finally starting to work out in Zokker's favor. It's going to be very close regardless. And, I mean, oh, man, these players, they're just so scrappy in this game. C9 finally getting on top of that Prospector. Can he finally do the damage he needs? He loses the Guardian tank. Goodbye, IFVs, and they get it!
That was an important kill, really important kill. If he didn't kill that Collector and lost all his army without getting a single Collector, that would be an absolute disaster for him.
Yeah.
And I think maybe C9 is about to have his cryo shot up. Okay, never mind. He was just changing garrison. But if he had his cryo shot up, he might actually be able to snipe the other Collector. But I'm not sure what Zokker is going to do, because right now, in my opinion, Zokker is really behind, because one Collector is a lot of money when you only have 2 refs.
Yeah, it is going to be putting him pretty far behind. He's got it back online, and I don't think... Oh, Zokker does GG out, so...
Yeah.
He thought that goes down.
Yep. Yeah. So, big congratulations, c9q9md taking the ace match. Wow.
Wow, all the way to the end there. I mean, C9 opening up pretty powerful with some, you know, kind of arguable games from the two players, where it's like that one game on Infinity Isle, it was just sort of a build order loss. So if you want to count that, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But Zokker, anyways, he kind of created a pretty early deficit in terms of points early on. But then he was able to make the comeback, but not push it all the way through. A big congratulations going out to c9q9md, claiming his first ever main event. And of course, that means that the prize pool is now sitting at $50, and it'll grow to $75 for main event number 5.
And officially, we could call C9q9md's so-called curse off the line, because
Exactly.
It just worked right as he wanted to.
Yep, that game's so close economically. If you take a look at the resource graph, Zokker is ahead just barely in the very, very, very beginning, and then it's just so even until the very end. That harvester kill, though.
Yeah, the harvester kill is what determined the game, because as I said, losing a collector is enormous once you only have 2 refineries. I mean, you have to wait like, what is it, 3 or 4? I think it's 4 actually, of ore refineries to be collected before you can actually rebuild your collector if you're low on cash. And in that scenario, Zokker had an obvious loss. So
Yeah,
that changed the game, and won C9 the game to get that collector kill, in my opinion.